Oh look, season 3 of Tuca and Bertie ended last Sunday. My most popular source of views. I guess I gotta talk about that now. Just reiterate a bunch of stuff I talked about in my last 2 videos so I can get those sweet views. Oh look, Brad Pitt's on a train. Bullet Train is from director David Leitch, the mind behind Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, and Hobbs & Shaw. Written by Zach Olkowicz, who worked on Fear Street Part 2 and based on the novel by Kotaro Isaka. Brad Pitt plays an American former assassin who now has to retrieve a suitcase from a bullet train in Japan for his employers. But as it turns out, there are a lot of other dangerous people on this train who want it too. This movie is basically Guy Ritchie meets John Wick. All the quirky criminal characters, complex story, and dark humor, but with a lot more violent fight scenes. I mean, when was the last time an action movie surprised you this many times with its story? It's also the more cartoonish version of the modern-day R-rated action movie with more outrageous situations and characters. The plot is fast-paced, complex, and interesting, and the action scenes are also very intense. While some jokes don't land as well as others, the outrageous sense of humor works pretty well. The characters are fun to watch and have good chemistry with each other. Unfortunately, the plot can also get pretty confusing at times. It's so full of characters and twists and turns that it can be kinda hard to keep up with it all. But I guess most of the important stuff comes fairly clear. All in all, this is a very fun time. It's a complex crime story with a major helping of cartoonish humor and action.
I take a professional interest in crime.
Agatha Christie's brilliant Belgian detective.
Oh, Belgians? I always thought you were French.
Albert Finney is Detective Hercule Poirot. This is no ordinary mystery.
I touch nothing.
This is Agatha Christie's most perfect crime. Murder on the Orient Express.
Now, come with us and enter a whole new world beyond your imagination, where a boy discovers a magic lamp and a genie who can make all his dreams come true.
10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Whoa! Wow! So what'll it be, Master?
I must have hit my head harder than I thought.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Aladdin.
And now, our feature presentation.
3,000 Years of Longing is the latest film from George Miller, 7 years after his last and one of his most renowned films, Mad Max Fury Road. He also wrote it along with Augusta Gore in what appears to be her first gig, and based on the short story The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye. Tilda Swinton is a literature professor who goes to a business trip in Istanbul where she gets a magic bottle that contains a djinn played by Idris Elba who needs to grant her 3 wishes to free himself forever. But most of it consists of Elba recalling his adventures with the people he came across trying to free himself. In the long run, it kinda turns into an almost sort of anthology film throughout history with these stories being tied together by the presence of the djinn, but also as a 3,000-year story of Elba's character. And Miller makes these flashbacks feel big. This is more than just 2 people talking in a hotel room. This is a major historical epic. These stories are all interesting and they're enhanced by the overarching story of the djinn's loneliness and longing for freedom. And it surprisingly turns into a love story that ends up being sweet and charming. But it isn't all great. There are a few parts that don't fit in very well, such as one subplot involving Swinton's racist neighbors that feels a little too over the top and is resolved anticlimactically. But really the beginning is probably the worst. Swinton is seeing evil Jane even before she finds the bottle and it's just never mentioned again. I know there are people who defended certain unexplained elements in Fury Road, such as that little girl that Max is traumatized by, saying it doesn't really matter. But I don't think that could be said about this, considering it seems to be directly connected to the mythology of this story. These guys could even be seen with Elba in some of the earliest flashbacks. But despite some of the questionable parts, this is a great movie. It's a very interesting, ambitious fantasy love story with visual flair and an epic scope. You don't have to wish for more content from me. Just join my Patreon and help me get to the point where I can keep making these videos. Link in the description.